Manchester United and Chelsea have both expressed interest in signing Paris Saint-Germain defender Marquinhos, who is valued around 40 million, but the French champions would prefer a swap deal if they decided to allow the 21 Brazilian international to leave.
Leicester City captain Wes Morgan admits the Premier League title challenge is in their hands and reveals that he was told to lose 2 stone during a trial at Nottingham Forest.
And Manchester City are closing on their 30 million signing of Borussia Dortmund midfielder Ilkay Gundogan. Now on to today's feature story, all about the science of penalty kicking.
I'm Jeff Stelling.
And I'm Jim White. And on to today's featured story, it's all about the science of penalty taking. Jeff, anything for us?
Well, the situation of the penalty can affect the taker in a great way. In the study by Ensley 2010, his results suggested that in terms of outcome, a performer will benefit most from the automation part of decision making, but only under normal operating conditions.
What about the crowd, Jeff? Surely they must have a part to play.
Well, if there are any outside influences or expectations on the performer, like a crowd or maybe pressure from teammates, then this may cause the penalty taker to falter.
Great stuff. Is there anything else for us, Jeff?
Now we're going to talk about the goalkeeper and how he can affect the situation. Research carried out by Wood and Wilson 2010 states that there are 3 methods of taking penalties. Number 1 is to not look at the keeper and focus on the spot that you want to put the ball, also known as the keeper independent approach. The keeper dependent approach is the second method, and this time the penalty taker will look at the keeper throughout the action and then make his decision on where he wants to put the ball based on the keeper's movements. Finally, the third method is called opposite independent approach. With this, the performer looks at one side of the goal and then shoots across to the other side.
But what about keeping it just plain and simple, Jeff? Anything on that?
Well, another study by Wood and Wilson in 2012 this time then goes on to look at what the penalty taker can do to be more consistent. They suggested that learning a routine involving gaze control, like looking at the spot that you want the ball to go, for example, helps penalty takers in a shootout to be more accurate. Also, it helped maintain effective visuomotor control and increased perceptions of psychological control. Jim, the players all look so strong nowadays. How do they kick the ball so hard and accurately?
Well, Jeff, they use a lot of different muscles during this action. You know, for a right-footed player, this includes the abdominals, the psoas major and the spinal postural muscles. You know, all these muscles situated around the trunk and core area of the body, which is mainly used for stability when it comes to the penalty kick. You know, from the area around the hips, the player uses his gluteus maximus, his hamstrings, and the adductor magnus. You know, these group of muscles are primarily used for the extension and external rotation of the body. Well, that was the core and hips, Jeff. Any information on the leg muscles used?
Well, for the right leg, the performer will use his quadriceps, hamstring, gastrocnemius and plantar flexors. These muscles are used for the extension of the knee and plantar flexion of the ankle. The left leg uses predominantly the same muscles, however, the hamstring, during this action at least, is hardly used because the leg is flexed and not extending in the same way as the right leg.
Wow, Jeff. You know, with all these muscles being used during the penalty kick, how is the energy getting to these muscles?
Well, Jim, as with any action that lasts less than 10 seconds, the kicker uses predominantly an anaerobic metabolic pathway to produce the necessary energy to kick the ball. In other words, he will be relying heavily upon the ATP-PC system for this action.
Chris, have you not been watching? I haven't. I don't know where that's come from, Chris. I have no idea what has happened there. What's happened, Chris?
I don't know, Jim. I don't know. The rain must have got in my eyes, Jim.
Cutting edge stuff here on Sky Sports News. Now, back over to Jim with some biomechanical analysis of a penalty.
Yes, thank you, Jeff. Now, according to Isa Carroll and Lees in 1988, players should approach the ball from a 45-degree angle. In doing so, they can produce a much higher shank velocity. And also, coming into this angle, has been proven to produce a better ball velocity as well, and results in a more successful penalty kick compared to coming in at an angle that is much smaller, between 15 and 30 degrees.
What about the run-up, Jim? Does that have any effect?
Good question, Jeff. Kellis and Kattis in 2007 have also reported that players who used a much smaller approach distance were more successful than those who took a longer approach.
Jim, why don't players approach the ball head-on? Does this have an effect on the penalty kick?
Well, Jeff, players will approach the ball on a curved path, as this allows the player to produce a lateral inclination. Now, this is key, as suggested by Skur and Hall in 2009. Getting the inclined leg under the ball allows the player to make better contact, allows a greater extension of the kicking leg, and provides a stable position for executing the kick, and thus improving the overall accuracy and consistency. The opposite arm to the kicking leg should be raised forwards in the direction of the kick. Doing so helps maintain body rotation, and also, while the kicking knee extends, the front knee should be flexed to a reasonable extent, helping the balance. The leading leg should be flexed at around 140 degrees, whilst the striking leg at around 86 degrees.
But what does this mean for the players, Jim?
Well, Jeff, in 1998, Lees and Nolan reported that this enables the thigh and shank to be angled enough so that the foot makes heavier contact with the ball. And also in 2002, Lees and Nelson also suggested that an increased flexion of the supporting knee allows more efficient ball contact, and also means that the player has a lower centre of gravity.
24 hours a day. On PC. On mobile and in stunning HD. This is Sky Sports, your home of sport.